Are you feeling desperate for a change? Well, now is the time to let your imagination run wild. That's the message from the moon on this new moon that we have coming up in Virgo, August 23rd. It's time to start a brand new story. And with the sun and the moon together at the start of practical Virgo, but they're making an angle of tension with unconventional Uranus, well, the energy setup is saying this: dare to dream. What you dream of will have practical roots, making it all the more likely to manifest in the earthly realm. Hi, I'm Laura Custo, the moon phase astrologer and your life strategist for rhythmic living. And I'm here to help you use the lunar cycles to make sense of the world, to calm down our crazy, hectic modern life by reconnecting with your own inner timing. Now, the absolute best place to start working with the moon is by following the moon. It's our closest celestial neighbor, and because of that, it has the most quote unquote to say to us. It governs our emotions. So when you're not feeling great, the moon is nature's gift to you. It's always offering guidance to help you make sense of your emotions and to use them for good. So to help you get started, I created a free guide for you called the Moon Phase Compass. You can download that at lauracusto.com/guide and get started on understanding and working with the 4 primary moon phases. These 4 phases cycle through and repeat every single month foundationally. Obviously, there are different flavors every month depending on the sign that they're in and the different planets that are aspecting them. But the core foundational ways that we work with these 4 phases never changes. So grabbing this guide and familiarizing yourself with this is a great first step. I'll put a link for that at the top of the show notes. All right, let's dig into this Virgo new moon. Now, if you get that guide, the Moon Phase Compass, the first thing you're going to learn is that the new moon kicks off a whole new cycle. And with each monthly moon cycle, we start by planting seeds. In energetics, planting seeds means that we set new goals, we dream new dreams, and we imagine the life that we want. Again, this specific new moon in Virgo has the unique combination of practicality as well as being unconventional. That's why the moon's message is, are you desperate for change? Let your imagination run wild. So let's break this into 3 steps. How to work with this 2025 Virgo new moon. Step 1, let's talk about the fact that the new moon is in Virgo, which is a very, like I said, practical sign. But let's talk about how it relates to this desperation part. Now, when we don't take care of daily life, the practical things, right? The routines, eating well, staying hydrated, exercise, movement, getting enough sleep, life starts to get hectic. We start to burn the candle at both ends until there's nothing left. And that's when we start to panic and get desperate for some help. We want a change. Now, in the last week, something that's crossed my desk is called the Map of Consciousness by David Hawkins. Now, as a student of Dr. Joe Dispenza, it immediately resonated with me because this map of consciousness is all about the frequency at which you're operating at based on your emotional state. This is something we have full control and agency over. The thing is that most of us haven't been taught that it exists. Or if we know it exists, we haven't thought about how to realistically stay mindful of it and use it to optimize our lives. Now, in the months ahead, I'll be getting into this more and more. But let me bite off a manageable piece for us this week as it relates to the new moon. According to the Map of Consciousness, when you get to the point where you're desperate for something, when you desire something else, you've reached a level where your view of the world is that life is disappointing, and one where you fundamentally believe that the universe is denying you of something. And that's not great. That feels pretty awful, right? To have a view of the world that is, oh, life is disappointing, and the only thing that the universe is going to do is deny me of everything that I want. Well, yeah, not great. And to top it off, when you're operating at that frequency, that's what you're attracting. And that's what you're going to keep attracting. Yeah, I don't want to live like that. And I don't want you to live like that either. So let's use this map of consciousness. If you've been here a while, you know I love maps and compasses, right? I created the moon phase compass and more on a map later. But I love them as practical tools to get us back on track. So that brings me to step 2. Now, let's look at the one planet that is making an angle to the sun and the moon, which are together. They're always together at a new moon, but they're together just past 0 degrees of Virgo. They're at the very start of Virgo. And that planet is Uranus. Uranus is unconventional and unexpected and surprising. And the angle it's making is one of tension. So it is poking irritatingly at this new moon in Virgo. The practical Virgo new moon, it wants to follow the directions and the path that it's set out in front of it. It wants to take the road that's familiar and looks safe. But if you're feeling desperate for a change, and you now know that that means that your view of the world is disappointing and that the universe is going to deny you of what you want, and if that's your frequency, per the law of attraction, you're just going to keep attracting more and more and more of that. Well, maybe we want to listen to this Uranus that's poking at us, right? It's saying, hey, do something different, something unexpected, something totally out of character. Well, okay, maybe that feels uncomfortable at first, but now that you know the backstory here and you know Uranus is involved, I mean, don't you want to try? Don't you want to use it? I think I do. So let's use Uranus to our benefit on this new moon. Let's get unexpected and out of character. But let's see if we can reconcile this tension, because that's ultimately how you work with these tension angles, is you want to find a way to reconcile them, meaning we honor Uranus, the unexpected and the unconventional, but we also honor the Virgo, the practical and the responsible. Can that be done? I think so. Let's move on to step 3. So let's go back to this map of consciousness. Often the most unconventional thing for us to do as human beings is to stop and question ourselves. To ask, could I be wrong here? Or maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way or not seeing the full picture. Quite simply, to ask, what if? To look outside ourselves at people and situations that seem amazing. And instead of desiring what they have, to ask, I wonder, how did they get there? I wonder what their story is. And when we do that, we learn very often that those people worked really hard to get to those successful places. They made sacrifices. And sometimes we also learn that what we think we want and what we think we desire isn't all it's cracked up to be. What I'm doing here is employing a higher vibrational level from that map of consciousness, higher than the level of desire. And this is the level of reasoning. The level of reasoning is to look at life through the lens of curiosity and understanding. Something that is truly unconventional, back to Uranus poking at us here, for so many of us. And according to the map of consciousness, when we're willing to genuinely look at life through this lens, our view on life is that it is full of meaning, that everything ultimately happens for a reason, that there is a good reason why things are the way they are. Maybe I need to shift. Maybe I need to make a change. Maybe I need to see the other point of view, step out of my comfort zone, change my daily habits, set better boundaries. By the way, these are all very Virgo themes. Ultimately, when you do this, you take on full accountability and full responsibility for your life, and you reach the level of empowerment. You're not a victim here. You're co-creating with a universe that is wise. And by embracing that view, doesn't that feel lighter and inspiring? And doesn't it feel amazing to see how we're being guided? We're not alone here. Even if everything feels like it's falling apart, and even if you were the last person on this planet, you're never alone. And that is the kind of world that I want to live in and believe in. So on this very practical Virgo new moon with Uranus poking at us to get unconventional, that's how we reconcile this energy. We do the impractical and unexpected. We see the world through a different lens, using the very practical and scientific map of consciousness. I'll put a link for a resource to learn more about that map of consciousness in the show notes if you're interested. All right, got to take you back to another map, one that I developed. It's called the moon map. Now, this new moon isn't just an opportunity to set new goals. It's in Virgo, which is going to be lighting up one of the 12 houses of your astrology chart. And that area will depend on your unique birth details. So in the moon map course that I developed, I walk you through the simple steps to finding your map, as I call it, for each of the moon phases. So it will show you exactly which area of life the moon's lighting up for this Virgo new moon, as well as every single other moon phase that I ever talk about and the moon ever has for the rest of your life. So is this phase lighting up your career, your money, your love life, your home life? It's going to help you find that. And again, you can use it for every single moon phase for the rest of your life. So I'll put a link for that at the show notes. You could check it out if you'd like. Okay, so to recap, practical Virgo new moon, unconventional Uranus poking at it to do something different. And if you're feeling desperate for a change, here's how to use this energy in an aligned way. Number one, recognize that desperation equates to living in the vibration of disappointment and attracting more of the same. No, thank you. And let's move on to step two. Acknowledge that Uranus is poking at us here. Do something unconventional and out of character. And at the same time, you can do it responsibly. Let's root it in the science of the map of consciousness by moving on to step three. Flip it on its side. Use our reason, which is a much higher vibration. There's a reason why things are the way they are right now. Maybe it's time for you to look at life more optimistically. Maybe it's time to take responsibility for what I've created. Step into a world of empowerment, and one with the belief that the universe is wise, that we're being guided, and we're never alone. All right, that's a wrap on this Virgo new moon. It's truly a great opportunity to check in with yourself, to hold yourself accountable, and to recalibrate how you're walking through life. Are you letting someone else steer the ship, or are you at the helm? Virgo is responsible and it's accountable. It always acts in integrity. And the gift of unpredictable Uranus here in the mix isn't meant to take you away from that. It's to wake you up to how you've fallen asleep. So set some powerful new intentions on this new moon and chart a fresh course. I'm rooting for you. With that, I would love to know what's coming up for you here. If you're making some realizations about what needs to change or how you've fallen asleep at the wheel, drop them in the comments below. All right, with that, until next week, take care.